Brie Larson is keeping her mouth shut when it comes to her future with the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the absolute box office bomb of the Marvels. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. This is over at thatparkplace.com. Brie Larson was attending the SAG Awards and she was speaking to Extra TV where she was asked about her future with Marvel. This is what she had to say. Let's take a listen.
Marvel. Just knowing which is which. Can you tell us a little bit about Marvel and what's coming up for you, your next Marvel project?
I don't have anything to say about that.
So there you go. She says, I don't have anything to say about that. It comes in the wake of the Marvels bombing at the box office. The film did not even gross $200 million worldwide, despite having a production budget upwards of $274.8 million. The numbers reports the film only grossed $84.5 million domestically and another $115.2 million internationally for a global total of $199.7 million. Analysts, including Valiant Renegade and OMB Reviews, believe the film lost the Walt Disney Company upwards of $200 million. It was reported back in October before the Marvels released to theaters that Larson had, quote, grew disillusioned with the role. This came from Joanna Robinson, author of MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios. In her book, she wrote this, Brie Larson grew disillusioned. And she's kind of talking about all the controversies and things that were happening with Marvel. She wrote, future of those Marvel icons was unclear. The departure of franchise anchors like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson had already taken its toll, as had the shocking loss of Chadwick Boseman. But other MCU stalwarts were heading for the exits. The Guardians of the Galaxy cast went on a farewell tour. Brie Larson grew disillusioned, and Marvel tussled with Sony in a custody battle over Tom Holland. She elaborated this on an appearance on the Watch podcast where she says, I don't know if Brie Larson was the wrong person for the role necessarily, but the toxic backlash means that Brie Larson doesn't want to play Carol Danvers anymore. She had that's sort of what she said. She was interviewed at D23 and they're like, so, we're going to see a bunch more from Carol Danvers. She's like, I don't know. Does anyone want to see me play Carol Danvers? Doesn't seem like it. In fact, that is what she said to Variety. Let's take a listen here at Disney's D23 Expo.
How long will you play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Don't be so modest.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
How long?
I think it's safe to say that the audience has spoken, and the box office disaster that is the Marvels shows that people do not want her playing that character again or using the Marvel Cinematic Universe to push her feminist agenda, which is indeed what she was doing. Obviously, she made that famous speech at, the Crystal Awards, where she was like, I don't need no 40-year-old man telling me what to think about. I don't even remember what the film was. Whatever that movie was that the other activist made. I'm totally blanking right here, but famous for that. And then she went on a whole PR tour during the Captain Marvel press tour, talking about how she wanted to basically remove certain reviewers. And then she tried to pivot, saying like, oh, I was just trying to bring more seats to the table, but I only have a certain amount of time in my day, so I can only do these things. So I'm actually just catering to this certain segment and not doing this other segment. And it didn't make any sense. It was an absolute logical disaster nightmare. And the only reason why the film did any good was because it was sandwiched in between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. And now we see the damage that did with the Marvels. She was asked by Entertainment Tonight, is there anything you would still love to see her do that she hasn't quite done yet? Speaking of Carol Danvers, and she did kind of say that there was more to the story. Obviously, this is during the promotional tour for the film, so it probably has to talk about like, oh, there is potential, there can be more, blah, yada, 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 trying to string people along. But this is what she said. Oh, goodness gracious. I think there's still so much inside of Carol. I feel like getting to be on this team cracked her open in a way that she hadn't been. And I really love that for her. Like, I just loved her just letting the shoulders drop a little bit and not need to feel all the responsibility was on her. So I think that there's just so much more to go. I mean, she's just a great character to continue to grow with. Like, as I'm growing, she's growing. Obviously, I think she's also here trying to kind of say, like, this isn't just a Captain Marvel film. This isn't just me trying to carry this film. This isn't just that character trying to carry this film. Obviously, trying to kind of maybe anticipating that the film was going to do bad and kind of spreading that blame around so that she can still potentially get roles moving forward in Hollywood, despite this utter box office disaster and now her terrible reputation with moviegoers. Nevertheless, she went on and said, well, yeah, I don't want Marvel to come for me, but there's definitely something to answer your question that I would want to say, but I'm not going to. So I'll just say it's here. She taps herself on the head, and I hear what you're saying. So who knows what that actually means either. I mean, but obviously she was saying that she wanted to do more, I guess, with Carol Danvers, or there's more to tell, but obviously contradicts some of the things she had said in the past, where it's like, do people even want me to continue playing this role? And I think that was maybe referring to not only people in the audience, but potentially executives at Marvel Studios as well. Maybe a falling out with someone like Kevin Feige or maybe Victoria Alonso at the time she was still at the company. But Brie Larson, not going to talk about the future of Marvel. It doesn't want to have any comments about that. And I think not having any comments is a comment in and of itself. But let me know what you guys make of what Brie Larson had to say here. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.